Okay, Beyond the Gates fans, we are talking about. Yeah, I know. I'm way behind, but I think I said this in another video, and to some fans who were asking me about it online. Last week as a whole just really didn't do it for me. After what was it? The week of the 9th, when I did all those reviews in one night, and I said, "Yep, I'm not going to fall behind the week of the 16th." But after watching Monday's episode, I'm like, it was okay for a Monday episode. But then I actually did watch Tuesday, but the episode left a bad taste in my mouth, and I said, okay, Wednesday, let's go ahead and watch that. Oh, this one didn't do it for me either. So instead of just getting up here dropping low scored episode reviews, I decided just to tap out for the rest of the week, and I said I'll try to catch up before the 23rd's episode drops, the episode 79, just because it felt like this week was missing something. And in retrospect, correct me if I'm wrong here, but weren't Leslie and Eva MIA the entire week? Which, hey, it isn't a bad thing because I feel like for the most part, the show has been relying on the Leslie and Eva stuff for a bit too long. So this week did give other characters time to breathe, and the promo for this week looks fantastic. I'll try to get more into that when I do the episode 78 review. But yeah, this particular episode actually really brought it down for me, so I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. Now, in terms of let me just talk about that stuff first. I'll talk about that stuff first. So we go over to the country club, and Naomi is, near the front desk calling Jacob about how she's going to be late due to the fact that she's meeting with a client to discuss a case. And I remember seeing online some people were like, "Dang, doesn't Naomi have like a office or something for the law firm that she has? Like, are we never going to see it?" Probably not, because at this point we're almost 100 episodes in, and I have not counted the set pieces. I know that going into the show, they said they created somewhere around close to 30 different set locations. And if anybody wants to count them, maybe that'll be a fun video I'll do on the side one day. But I feel like we've seen possibly close to 30. I mean, when you think about it, think about the hospital itself. You have Ted and Nicole's offices, and well, yeah, because Nicole does have her office at the hospital too. Um, the desk where Shanice is. Then you have a number of hospital rooms. Does the elevator count? Cause technically that's 4 to 5 right there, but I don't know. So yeah, she is meeting with a client, but then Ashley shows up, and it's she just blows up on Naomi. That was the insta kill for the episode for me. I'm like, the fact that this woman has the nerve to go off on her friend over something her boyfriend did. And the craziest part is, so Naomi is basically letting her husband know, "Hey, I'll meet up with you later than expected because I have a client." Two big things here. Number one, Naomi's assistant was bribed into telling Ashley where Naomi was with a couple of tickets to the spa, I believe. And Naomi's like, "I'll deal with her later." And then not only that, she decides to cancel her appointment with a client, basically putting her job on hold because of her friend chewing her out over something Derek did. You can kind of tell that this isn't Bill, because if it was Bill, he focusing on that career path first. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, if Haley came up with some emergency, I'm pretty sure he would stop. But I'm pretty sure the relationship between a husband and wife outranks friend, depending on the circumstances. But yeah, that was just crazy work to me. So she went off on Naomi due to the fact that he needed help picking out a ring. And the thing was, like, hey, I ain't gonna hold you. I had reservations about him proposing at a time like this, but it didn't. I knew in my heart of hearts, it didn't matter what I said or thought. Derek was going to do what Derek was going to do. And she just keeps getting loud, and she's like, hey, you need to stop making a scene. Let's just look, you're dressed to the nines, so why not go inside, and who knows, maybe somebody, will propose to you there. Oh, too soon? Now, Ashley does eventually apologize for getting all up in her face, but yeah, she worries that she hurt Derek too much, but Naomi's like, he'll be cool. So she spends the rest of the episode trying to get to the bottom of, like, why are you refusing the proposal? And simply put, Ashley does what she usually does, which is whine and complain and dance around the question. And she isn't sure that they would make it. But Naomi does ask, like, well, is there someone else? And Ashley doesn't really, respond to that in terms of course there's nobody else. I mean, obviously this is a trend that's going to be present throughout the rest of the week, but we all know it's Andre. Not really him that has been made. Like, he made the one move and Ashley shut that down. But it's her own reservations. Like, to be completely honest, I could think of several reasons why her and Derek shouldn't get married, and it has nothing to do with Andre. Now, speaking of Andre, we go over to Orphy Jeans, and Jacob comes in and sees his buddy Derek looking down, and he's excited because he thinks that the proposal went well. But then Derek explains that Ashley turned him down, and oh man. But Derek keeps talking about, I wanted some sort of like stability and just some certainty in my life, and I don't know what's going on. Is there something holding Ashley back, or maybe it's someone that is holding her back? And the crazy part is, as he's saying this, you actually have Andre coming through the door of the diner, and Derek looks over at him, and then Andre stops by and it's like, hey, how y'all doing? And this fool decides to just blurt out, hey, Derek, man, I'm sorry about the proposal going wrong. And wait, so Ashley's already talking to you about the proposal? And well, then again, she has been telling you a lot about stuff lately, isn't it? And Andre's like, no, it's not like that. It's not like that at all. And then Derek just gets up and leaves. And from there, Andre's like, man, I feel terrible. And then Jacob's like, do you really feel terrible, Andre? And that's pretty much where the Ashley Derek storyline for the episode cuts out. I don't know. Jacob always gives Andre a hard time, mainly due to the fact that he low-key thinks that, Andre is going after his friend's girl. But at the same time, it's like, bro, spend more time, being a detective rather than trying to pin someone on Andre. But then again, I feel like a lot of fans feel the same way as me. It's mind-boggling as I don't know what. I remember in the early episodes of the show, I would always get Andre and Jacob confused because they look so dang similar. Now, earlier in the episode, Andre goes over to Danny's and admits that, yeah, so you know how we kept our friends with benefits situation on the DL? Well, it turns out that your daughter and niece might have found out. What? So she goes off and she's just, upset about, what, the age gap and everything. And Andre, and age ain't nothing but a number. Hey, in this context, they're both legal, consenting adults. But Danny claps back with the whole thing. Well, it's the double standard. Like, people care more about a woman whenever they date younger. And when I think about my sister, your aunt by marriage, Nicole was there the day you were born. So even though, you and her aren't related, it's still close. And I'm worried about, what Nicole's going to say. And I'm thinking like, but Danny, that didn't stop you from jumping in bed with Andre multiple times already. So it's like they say what's done in the dark, but I don't know. So Andre decides to, say that, hey, I told Uncle Ted about it. And that's when he realizes that Danny, well, technically the thing is Pamela figured it out because Andre let it slip to Uncle Ted. And then, of course, based off the way he just burst into, hey, woman, where are you? That's why Kat and Chelsea are assuming stuff. So Andre doesn't really understand the caution and wonder if it's about Bill, but Danny don't care about all that. And like always, she's afraid of getting played. But the thing was with Bill, she didn't see what Bill did coming. Even though that really, I don't fully agree with that because Bill was stated to have multiple affairs before, but Danny just looked the other way. But I guess maybe she's referring to Bill having sex with a mistress in their own bed under their own roof, and it turns out it was the friend of their daughter. So I guess that wild card is what sent her spiraling. Now, of course, Andre says, oh, Bill's blind, he's a fool, and I see you for who you are, and I'm not going to leave you for Haley like Bill did. And I love the retort here about like, what would you want with that pregnant trash hoe anyway? So from there, Danny is yet again worried about her baggage being a turnoff and assumes that Andre is, well, either with others or has somebody else on his heart. And he's like, no, I have no time for that. And it's like, you're the only one I'm, focused on. And I wouldn't do you like Bill. So he's just eager for their happiness to be shared to the world. And she's like, you know what? Maybe it is time. So Chelsea comes in and Andre zips out of there like Sonic the Hedgehog. And Chelsea all of a sudden is like, I think I'm in love. And I'm just like, wait, what? Because earlier in the episode, you have her and Madison, pretty much the follow-up from their sexcapades here. And Madison to me, I don't know. For as much as we want to give flack, rightfully so, for Chelsea being overly eager and thirsty and all, Madison seemingly has, I don't know, somewhat of a control thing where because Chelsea gets on her phone like seconds after to check her social, she feels like, like a one night stand or something like that. And this is my job. But I can kind of understand here because of the fact that while Madison admires her dedication to her career, similar to Chelsea with Madison being a doctor, I can understand that. Oh, and you know me, I'm a content creator, YouTube and everything. And with that comes a lot of social media platforms or when I'm selling stuff on eBay. But let's say hypothetically, I was out on a date with a woman. We had a great time together. Not even sex, just, like we had, dinner. Maybe we're, we got the TV on the background. Not even Netflix and chill, but just Netflix and we're talking, getting to know each other. Or just like maybe we kind of dozed off and took like a little nap on the couch or just something like that. And after a great time together and, the girl is still here, or whether it be in my house or I'm at her place. But the first thing I do is, pull out my phone and say, ooh, let me check my YouTube analytics. Or I listed 125 items on eBay. Let me see if I got any bids or any buyers. Yeah, I could understand if she felt some kind of way about it because, yeah, it is my job. But, for me, I'm the kind of person where if I spend time outside of my, I call it freestyle schedule. I'm my own boss, so I can do what I want when I want. But it's like if I spend any of my free time where I could be making money with another person, that's because that person is cool. Either it's just a friend, family member, or whatever. But if it's someone like I'm looking to date, then yeah, that's like, oh, hey, work is put on the side. The time I carve out for that person is them. So I can't even imagine what it would be like to have sex with somebody. And instead of like, holding each other after the fact, the first thing, the girl does like get on her phone. I'd be like, yeah. So it kind of reminds me of when they were at Uptown, right? Wasn't it like the first time they interacted at Uptown, and Chelsea checked her phone, and during those moments, Madison just kind of slipped out. So I don't know. But then from there, she tells Chelsea how an in-person connection is important, so they kiss, and then then Madison heads out. So going back to Chelsea declaring that she's in love to her mom, which I don't know. I mean, I'm not judging. Love hits when it hits. Sometimes it's love at first sight, but then when you have sex on the first night, I don't know. So she's telling her mom about Madison, and Danny can't wait to meet her, and they talk about how it's sexuality stuff. I can't really comment on that, but love is love, and yada yada. I'm sorry, I'm just glossing over my notes here. So oh yeah, Chelsea mentioned, wait, was Aunt Nicole by too or something like that? Because when Danny brings up her sister, it's like, no, it's not like that. Basically, seeing how Nicole handled Martin coming out and the understanding and grace Nicole showed is kind of what low key is allowing Danny to just deal with the situation with Chelsea. Now, I don't mean deal as in my daughter is not straight. No, it's more like, how to handle the situation. And from there, they talk about how Smitty treats Martin like, just like good as gold, and labels are old school and whatnot. I don't know if that's true. I mean, how are labels old school? And this isn't a diss to the LGBTQ community or just, people in general, but it seems like there are just so many different variations of what sexuality is nowadays. Like, I'm straight, but I feel like straight or heterosexual is the old label, and there's probably a bunch of different phrases. Like, I had a cousin who asked if I was dating, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm just, after so many no's from women, it's like I just gave up on even crushing on women. It's like I just focus on my work. And like they say, when I least expect it, or when I'm not looking, the right woman or will just apparently appear. But given that I barely go out, I don't know there will ever be a Mrs. JeremyCarden. And yeah, he's like, oh well, it's cool, but just got to put yourself out there. I mean, that's how it is to date, and it doesn't matter because cis people get love too. And I'm like, what now? I kind of draw it back for a second, like, whoa, what you call me? No, cis means straight, huh? See, he explained. I don't know. So what Danny said in terms of like old school labels, that's the label I go by: straight, heterosexual. And I don't want to use any other word because I don't know what means what now. But in any case, Danny this goes back to the previous week's episodes where every time Danny, saw how her daughter lit up around Madison. So I think it's kind of cute how, it's kind of mom's intuition that she knows her daughter so well, like, aw. But speaking of kind of fast-tracked relationships, if you will, after yet again another sexual encounter on the poker table, Vanessa and Joey are getting dressed, and apparently they went all over the room from top to bottom. Doug actually comes in asking for time to speak with his wife, and I don't know why, but all of a sudden Doug has gotten some bass in his voice. And when Vanessa tries to jump into the conversation, the men are talking. And Vanessa's like, have you lost your dang mind? Do you know what he could do to us? And Doug doesn't really care. It's like the fact that he doesn't want to have his wife making some sort of backroom deals with the devil. And she rightfully calls out, like, who made this mess in the first place? And from there, she's ticked off because she doesn't want to come off as a damsel in distress. And I can understand that because, Doug, you really have no power here. If nothing else, you were a pawn and you let your own vices and addiction, aka gambling, get the better of you, leading to the situation where you owe Joey $250,000 and your wife's business is on the line. However, I don't fully exonerate Vanessa because she was the one who's been feeling Joey from the first time they even had a conversation. But I don't know. It's just a mess. But I can't lie. This is a very interesting storyline. I can't keep my eyes off of the scene. Now, don't get me wrong. I still feel some kind of way about Vanessa, like, telling off Ted. But then you look at the way she has been acting. Also, she looks good with straight hair. I just had to put that out there. Vanessa looks good with the straight hair. Now, from there, she just wants it to be clear, like, Joey isn't having his way with me. And Doug, and this is a theme throughout the rest of the week, Doug just has all these condescending one-liners. Are you sure he hasn't already? And Joey comes back, and Doug is demanding 20% split down the middle. And he's like, well, since, we're all sharing nowadays, Joey's like, cool, let's do it. So he issues a warning about, keep him close. So I don't know. Like, I don't really know why Doug is acting like he has any say in any of this. For real, it just doesn't really add up to me. So let's go over to Martin and Smitty's house because we're almost done here. Samantha's working on a school project, and she asked Smitty, about like what gay sex is like, and Smitty's reaction when he spits out the water was hilarious. And it turns out she's working on a paper about human sexuality, and Smitty's like, whoa, I can't do that. And apparently she got permission for this particular project because of the fact that Martin signed the paperwork for it. And it turns out that Smitty's like, wait, did Martin know what he was signing? Well, he's always so busy with stuff that he just signed it. And oh boy. So essentially they both will work separately and then discuss how her oh man, I'm sorry. This is just crazy. Smitty's reaction was priceless. Like, Smitty is low-key one of my favorite characters. I don't think they use him enough in the show, but they use him enough where it's like you want more, but he's never on screen enough to overstay his welcome. Yeah, so considering that, Martin was the one who signed the paperwork, Smitty's like, you know what, I'll let him do the Q&A so he can, you can talk to your other dad about that. But from there, I believe they were talking about how Terrell's at chess club, and they have a brief discussion about Samantha's, modeling activities. And Samantha just reassures Smitty that, hey, even though, this is something I'm really passionate and excited about, don't worry about it. I have my priorities straight. I have my dream about the modeling world, but I won't let it screw up my education and whatnot. And then to round out the episode, we're going to talk about Martin and the busboy. So over at the country club, when Martin grabbed the busboy and demanded to know, like, yo, what's your deal? He's acting like, wait, I don't know what you're talking about. And Martin actually hands this dude like just a small handful of cash, like $20 bills and whatnot. He's like, hey, I need you to say this line to me. What color is your money? What color is your money? No. Say it like you're angry. What color is your money? Is that all? I actually got work to do. Thanks for the tip. So when he says the line, Martin flashes back to the dude in the crowbar. And from there, he actually gets spotted by Naomi, and this is before she goes into the bar area to speak with Ashley. But Naomi's asking, Martin what's wrong. And I also think it's interesting how, I guess because they're the older siblings of their respective parts of the family tree, Naomi and Martin are close the same way that Chelsea and Kat are close, probably due to the age ranges there. But she's like, hey, something's wrong. Like, and, Martin's like, oh, it's nothing. And I just gotta go. But I just like the fact that Naomi spotted her cousin, noticed something was wrong, asked if there was anything she could do or if he wanted to talk about it. And he's like, no, but the fact that she still said, well, hey, just let me know. I'm in your corner if you need anything. So then that leads to another flashback because Marcel. He gets home, Samantha hugs him, and Smitty talks about the fact that, hey, I was at the station interviewing that detective Marcel, and have you ever heard anything about him being involved with something shady? And then that's when Martin has a "that's so Raven" moment. It's like the night of the big event. He sees Marcel in his head. Get him the hell out of here. And I'm having flashbacks. And then the more Martin is falling apart, you can tell Smitty obviously knows something is wrong. He wants more of what's going on, but Martin just says, oh, nothing. Because right when Martin is obviously on the verge of telling his husband what's going on, he thinks about what his grandpa said and nothing. So Smitty's like, well, hey, you know what? Get some help that's not from me or your mom. Like, get some real help. And Martin's like, yeah, I will as soon as work is cleared up. And we know with him, work rarely, if ever, clears up. But overall, yeah, this episode, I. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one.